Israel's best air defense system becomes laser and demonstrates incredible success. Israel adopted the Iron Dome air defense system 10 years ago, but the country's never used it as often as it has recently. Many people call this air defense system a guarantee of Israel's survival. But is it really that good? After the start of a new escalation of the Palestinian-Israeli conflict, hundreds of thousands of videos showing the Iron Dome in action flooded social media. Indeed, its potential is enormous, but maximum efficiency is achieved through modernization with lasers. This is not a new experience for the global community. In particular, the United States was working on creating lasers to destroy unmanned aerial vehicles, missiles, and other threats in the air a decade ago. An example of such a program was the Athena project, which was a mobile laser system for defeating air and ballistic targets. Later, this technology was adopted by such systems as Patriot. It was definitely a good idea because lasers have many advantages.
There are two advantages. One, the cost per kill, the recurring is low, and the second is that there is no ammunition.
Laser air defense has three key advantages. Firstly, the laser beam reaches the target instantly and no complex aiming system is required. This applies to slow drones and helicopters as well as highly maneuverable fighters and hypersonic missiles. The laser system is visually guided at the target without corrections for target movement, and the light beam follows the enemy, destroying it effectively.
The button, your beam touches the rocket at the speed of light.
Secondly, lasers are much cheaper to use. The cost of one shot is only $3 to $4 compared to tens and hundreds of thousands of dollars for a common anti-aircraft missile. This financial advantage makes energy weapons an advantageous means of defense. Third, laser systems are more reliable than conventional air defense. The Iron Dome system has only an 80% missile shot down rate, while lasers easily hit all targets at a distance of 3 feet to 6 miles. They also don't need to be recharged, operating continuously whenever a power source is available. It's not surprising that Israel paid attention to these advantages and significantly strengthened its Iron Dome, but now it's worthwhile to understand the initial capabilities of this system. The Iron Dome is a missile defense system developed by the Israeli company Rafael Advanced Defense Systems in cooperation with Israel Aerospace Industries and Elta Systems. Development of the Iron Dome began in the early 2000s, and the first successful test of the system took place in 2008. The first real test in combat conditions took place in 2011, and the system successfully coped with volley missile attacks. In the following years, the Iron Dome continued to be improved and used in various conflicts in the Middle East, including the military hostilities between Israel and Palestine in 2014.
Goal is to, as much as possible, intercept rockets.
It's important that the United States took part in the development and partially financed this project. The main purpose of the Iron Dome is to protect against short and medium-range missiles, as well as to defend against artillery projectiles used by Palestinian extremists to attack Israeli cities. The system was designed to detect, track, and destroy enemy missiles in real time. We call the Iron Dome a system for a reason, because it's a complex machine consisting of a radar and a control center. They detect incoming missiles and can predict their trajectory and likely target in a few seconds. The high speed of the system is very important because the distance of Israeli cities from the border with the Gaza Strip determines the time it takes for the missiles to reach their target, which ranges from 15 to 90 seconds.
It gives the IDF, more time actually to target Hamas and Islamic Jihad infrastructure, terror infrastructure, in the hope to somehow, impair their capabilities to stop this.
The third element of the system is installations for destroying enemy missiles. Each section of the system has 3 to 4 such units capable of launching up to 20 Tamir missiles flying at a speed of 1,860 miles per hour. They're equipped with a radar system and a thermal imager for accurate targeting. The system also has decision-making algorithms that distinguish threats from safe targets while minimizing missile costs. This remarkable missile is launched only when the system predicts that an enemy attack is aimed at a residential area. The interceptor missile does not hit the attacking missile directly, but explodes next to it, scattering debris. Thus, the Iron Dome can destroy even much faster enemy missiles, but the wreckage of both missiles falling from the sky is particularly dangerous. According to media estimates, each launch of an interceptor missile costs Israel 80,000 euros. That's why the military shoots down only those missiles that target populated areas. But we face the financial disadvantage of using the Iron Dome alone. For example, a primitive Quassam rocket which Arab militants fire at Israel costs only a few $100s because of the build quality. At the same time, the Tamir anti-aircraft missile is much more expensive. That is, if the enemy launches 100 of its missiles, it'll spend 500 times less money than it'll take to destroy them. But there's a solution to this, and you'll soon learn about it. Still, traditional air defense has its advantages. For example, systems with interceptor missiles can be transported across the country. 10 such mobility systems are currently in operation in Israel. According to the developer, each of these systems is capable of intercepting missiles with a range of up to 43 miles and can protect a medium-sized city. To guarantee the protection of the entire territory of Israel, experts estimate that 13 such systems are needed. But how effective is the Iron Dome? The developer claims that the system's efficiency reaches 90%, which means that it can defeat exactly that percentage of threats.
I would say around 90% of the interceptions we wanted to make, we make, but still there's too many rockets raining down here.
According to the head of the Israeli Missile Defense Organization, Moshe Patel, over the past 10 years, the Iron Dome has managed to intercept approximately 2,400 missiles. However, 90% is not 100, and the remaining threats can cause irreparable damage to cities. That's why it was decided to create an addition to the Iron Dome in the form of a laser weapon, which became Iron Beam. This fiber optic laser is capable of detecting and destroying targets at distances of up to 6 miles at the speed of light. Even though these are not super high numbers, they're enough to destroy most missile threats.
The range is limited. It's more limited than the range of interceptor weapons.
The destruction time of missiles and mortar projectiles is only 5 seconds. Iron Beam is a mobile system capable of moving independently at a speed of 37 miles per hour, providing protection at the necessary locations. Unlike traditional air defense systems, which require at least 10 minutes to activate, Iron Beam can fire immediately upon arrival at a position. The latest version of the laser reaches 100 kilowatts, which makes it possible to destroy even fighter jets by burning out their equipment. And despite this amazing efficiency, the system is actually not that expensive. It cost only $1 billion to develop, while the average cost of developing an air defense system is $25 billion. As we've already said, the United States played a significant role in the creation of the Iron Dome. Part of the funding also went to the development of the Iron Beam, and this cooperation was beneficial for both countries, as Washington purchased at least 2 systems of this type for its own defense needs.
U.S. support for the Iron Dome and Israel's new laser-enabled system called the Iron Beam.
However, despite all the advantages, Iron Beam has its drawbacks. For example, it does not function well in low visibility conditions such as heavy clouds, fog, or other unfavorable weather conditions.
The disadvantage. One is a short range, the other is the sensitivity to weather, and the third is the low kill rate.
That's why the ideal solution would be to combine the advantages of the laser Iron Beam and the anti-aircraft Iron Dome. While one destroys 90% of the enemy's missiles, the other will deal with the remaining 10%. In this way, Israel will achieve the maximum possible protection. So far, there are no systems in the world that can compare with the efficiency of this combination. Perhaps only the American Laws shows similar results. It also hits at 6 miles, has a similar cost of $3 to $4 per shot and the same accuracy, but the power of the American laser is slightly lower, about 80 kilowatts. As long as Israel has the Iron Dome and its complementary laser Iron Beam, there's no truly impenetrable threat to the country, and all thanks to a careful attitude to protecting its citizens and competent funding from the government and allied countries. The question naturally arises, what is Israel's arsenal of ballistic and cruise missiles, and how powerful is it? We know exactly what kind of missiles Israel has and what they're capable of. Whether it's the supermassive Jericho hypervelocity missile or the Lahat self-guided tank shell, Israel's range of missile weapons is simply amazing and can be used in any situation.
At the moment, there are no indications and warnings that tensions are high, that we are under the threat of a ballistic missile attack, but we could use it if the situations would change.
To begin with, Israel has its own line of cruise missiles called Popeye 1 and Popeye 2. The first type was adopted back in 1986 and was designed specifically for use on the F-15 fighter jet. This huge missile weighs 3,000 pounds, including 800 pounds of the warhead. The flight range is 50 miles and it flies at a speed of 340 miles per hour. The missile also has a certain feature that's more of a disadvantage than a benefit. Along with the Popeye, the launcher, weighing an additional 1,900 pounds, needs to be installed on the aircraft.
You can have good missiles, but if you can't target them with good radar that maintains a lot, provides accurate ranging information and engagement information in a lot of use.
Such a load reduces the speed of the aircraft, and it's not surprising that the F-15 Eagle was chosen to transport the missile, as it's a real behemoth among fighters. Despite being launched in 1980, it still remains in the ranking of the fastest fighters, and even the F-35 cannot compete with it. It's all about speed. 1,930 miles per hour is no joke, and with a range of almost 3,100 miles, this fighter has no equal. It can fly over open enemy positions and destroy them with an accurate missile launch. But it will have to try to bypass air defense. But wait, Israel has a missile that can do that.
We know what our actual weapon system is capable of. We have hands on. We're ready to do that whenever we need to.
LoRa is a tactical missile system designed to destroy enemy air defense. This requires high speed, and strangely enough, Israel does not report exact figures. However, there is evidence that LoRa can exceed the threshold of 3,700 miles per hour. Before you know it, it'll be flying across the city, leaving a deafening roar behind. Likewise, the enemy will not be able to shoot it down because there's currently no system that can shoot down this missile, except for one, which we'll discuss later. LoRa can be used in both land and sea versions to destroy the most important elements of an enemy base, such as communication nodes, power plants, air defense batteries, etc.
It's seen as the epitome of autonomy. You're in control of everything happening at the target end.
Surprisingly, Israel offered to sell the missile's blueprints to allied countries, including the United States, but no one was interested. But it's for the best, because no enemy knows exactly how LoRa is structured. While this missile freely destroys enemy air defense, there's only one system that can withstand it, and it's also based in Israel. The Iron Dome is a unique missile defense system installed throughout Israel. It protects the country's territory by intercepting and destroying short and medium-range missiles. The first advantage of the Iron Dome is its mobility. It can move from place to place, taking the necessary position before intercepting enemy missiles. Speaking of which, the missile is capable of detecting and destroying tactical unguided missiles and artillery shells, and in 2015 it was able to eliminate maneuverable aircraft and drones at an altitude of up to 10 kilometers. The Iron Dome is not a weapon, as its main task is to protect civilians from air threats. The system includes 3 launchers with 20 missiles each, which means that in the best case, one system can destroy 60 targets at once.
Its goal is to, as much as possible, intercept rockets.
Each Iron Dome projectile can identify and attack its target, and it doesn't even need to hit it accurately, as the projectile explodes nearby, shattering into fragments that knock down the threat. This is how Iron Dome missiles can destroy even much faster enemies. An interesting fact is that this system is entirely an Israeli development, but the United States has been providing financial support for the Israeli Iron Dome for about a decade, spending a total of $1.6 billion on its production and maintenance.
I would say around 90% of the interceptions we wanted to make, we make, but still there's too many rockets raining down here.
And if you thought that Israeli engineers armed only fighters, air defense systems, and other systems with cool missiles, you're wrong. They took it a step further and decided to put homing missiles even in Merkava tanks. Spoiler alert, it was a very successful idea. To summarize the Merkava tank itself, we can only say it's one of the best, if not the best tank in the world at this moment. It has incredibly strong armor consisting of several layers that protect against each type of ammunition. But the main feature is its 120mm cannon, which can fire Lahat missiles. This is a laser-guided anti-tank missile that's passed a huge series of fire tests and recently entered the stage of mass production. Initially, it was planned that the missile would be produced jointly by Israel and General Dynamics to sell the system to the United States. This plan has not yet materialized. The Lahat can be fired from 105mm, 120mm, and 125mm guns of main battle tanks, although the main emphasis was placed on firing from the Merkava. The main task of the missile is to destroy battle tanks and helicopters at a distance of 3 miles. The average speed is 918 feet per second, which is enough to bypass the active armor of tanks. In addition, Lahat can fly over the target and dive like a bird of prey, attacking the enemy's most vulnerable points. Only American Abrams have similar shells at this moment, but even they don't reach the power of Lahat. To destroy a Merkava with such weapons, the enemy needs to use better weapons. In the worst-case scenario, the enemy will need ballistic missiles. There will be a worthy response to them. The Arrow 3 is Israel's most powerful weapon in the fight against air threats. It serves to destroy intercontinental ballistic missiles in the air. This means that the Arrow 3 is capable of shooting down even missiles that are in space. Moreover, the system's capable of destroying even artificial Earth satellites.
It was an exceedingly successful test against new kind of threats. And for the first time, I became confident that the Arrow system will be able to intercept any kind of Shihab or other Iranian missile coming from far away.
The system's capable of intercepting ballistic missiles outside the atmosphere with a range of 250 to 1,250 miles, and in the latest version, this figure is increased to 3,400 miles. The Arrow 3 system can detect and track up to 12 targets simultaneously and can also guide up to 2 anti-missiles capable of reaching a speed of 5,600 miles per hour at one of them. The range of the Arrow 3 radar is so great that the deployed batteries in the center of Israel provide coverage of 85% of the country's territory. Moreover, the missile doesn't even need a warhead to destroy the target. Due to its enormous speed, it uses kinetic energy, i.e., it simply crashes into the target, breaking it apart. Knowing that Israel possesses such powerful weapons, the enemy should think twice before engaging in combat. And even if the battle begins, the enemy will immediately experience the full power of Israeli missile weapons. This video has come to an end. If you liked it, feel free to like it and leave a comment so you can help us understand in which direction we should develop the content. Thanks for watching, and see you soon.